The Bible who says you have a slave, you can beat them, and if they don't die within 2 days, you're not punished. Now that's all in the Bible. So that sounds wrong to me.
How many laws are in the Old Testament, in the Torah?
613.
Good. The law is strictly in the Torah. It's not in the prophets. The prophets is an account of how we kept it.
Right. You don't believe what you believe it makes you a better person.
Oh, no. I believe that, like, Christ improves me, but I don't believe I'm a better human than you simply by merit of being Christian.
Okay. I understand.
The point is the disagreements you are having are not with the Christian interpretation. They're with the figure of Jesus. If you disbelieve in Christ, like a Jew, for example, you're not going to accept these interpretations, of course. Yeah. But if you accept the figure of Jesus, you are going to accept these conclusions. The reason why I, as a black Christian, can argue against slavery and be an abolitionist is because Christ promotes abolitionism.
Yeah, you're making a big
assumption. But I'm not.
Major assumption.
What's the assumption that I'm making?
Now you're saying that is fundamentally true about that entire group of people.
That entire group of people.
That's not true.
The way of living of those people wasn't sanitary.
That's not true.
Okay, could you name, not about the way they kept rivers nice, because that's different. Did they keep themselves clean?
There were people who took hygiene,
Could you name a tribe that took hygiene seriously, the way that Christians fundamentally did?
You're saying that Christians fundamentally, but Christians fundamentally didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, we did.
Intrinsically know.
No. The way that we. No. Okay.
It's not even a point.
The stuff about. Okay. Yeah. The stuff about. The problem is the stuff about guessing and so on would make sense if we're making claims that can't be verified.
Right.
But the sources that we can use are people that talk about Christians that are against them, people that talk about Christians that are neutral, and Christians themselves.
Yeah.
Those are sources that you can use. The same traditions that you can use.
They didn't hygiene, and it wasn't.
But the claims that we're making is whether that was because of those individual people or because of the traditions and systems that they had. Remember, we're not just talking about Native American people. We're talking about Native American tradition, religion, belief. I'm saying that in their tradition and belief, this was what happened. This was the source material. In Christian tradition and belief, you could have 1,000 people that didn't follow the Christian system. That doesn't mean that is not what the Christian system teaches. So I'm trying to make the claim very specific.
So they pick and choose which one they want to do.
What?
So they pick. Because
wait. How did you get the pick and choose thing?
I'm gonna tell you.
Could you? Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Could you explain what my point is?
No, wait.
No, you asked him a question.
You asked him.
Yeah, I explained.
You got an answer.
I didn't
ask the question.
You said so. How did I get to that point? The reason why I threw that statement out is that.
So you just threw it out?
No, the reason why I said that.
You just said I threw it out.
Yeah, but listen.
My bad.
The reason why I said that is because you said, oh, the traditions of Christianity was emphasized on cleanliness, even if some individuals didn't
do it. Yeah.
So I said to you, you could only be making that statement based on what is recorded in the Old Testament.
Right.
Because the Old Testament is the laws of how they kept cleanliness and how they.
I'm not a Jew. I'm a Christian.
Right,
and Christians don't just believe in the Bible.
So what do they believe in?
We believe in the apostolic tradition. The same thing I explained to you.
What is that?
Thank you. Okay, this guys, right? So
wait, Christians don't believe in the
not just the Bible.
And it's gonna get messed up.
So what we believe.
Oh, can I go? Wait. Let me hear this. Because I want to know. Let me talk. Yeah. You let me say. Yes.
Before you to put him down, let him tell you. You don't know.
All right, tell him.
You don't know.
Let him
You're already.
All right, tell him.
10 minutes. Tell him, brother.
Thank you very much, sister. I appreciate you.
I love you.
Thank you so much.
That's the referee right there.
You know, start my sentence, middle of your sentence. You know, it's crazy.
No.
So.
Keep it fair.
What we believe as Christians is something known as holy tradition. Okay.
What that word that you said before?
Tradition.
No.
Holy.
No, not that.
Christians don't just believe in the Bible. They believe in.
What's that?
Apostolic tradition.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. What is that?
The tradition of the apostles, the disciples of Jesus. Okay. Now, what we believe, and I'm just trying to explain this slowly, so please don't interrupt.
Yeah.
What we believe is that Christ founded the church first, before the New Testament. The New Testament didn't exist yet.
Okay.
Now, when Christ founded the church, he also gave the entirety of his revelation to his students. We believe that those students passed it down to their students and so on.
Very nice.
Evidence for this is actually in the Bible, Matthew 28:19, where Christ says to make mathetes. The word mathetes means student, make students. And so from teacher to student, these traditions were passed down. Now, part of that tradition is the Bible that everyone reads. Another part of the tradition is the apostolic traditions that were not written in the Bible, but are written, they are written in a various of ways. They're written in our hymns. They're written in the liturgy. They're written in the writings of the early Christians who we call the church fathers. They are written in the synaxis, which is the lives of different saints. They're written in the words and testaments of martyrs. So these things, we use all of them as part of divine revelation, as part of the revelation of God. And in these different texts, they emphasize our opinions on music. For example, the early Christian fathers actually are very against music because of the way that music can entice people to do things.
So are you a Catholic?
No,
Sorry,
I'm not
young
Catholic.
man, how old are you?
I don't reveal my age, but you can guess. I go uni.
How old are you? Because you are like my son.
Yes, I'm your son.
I like what you say.
Thank you so much.
But you need to listen as well.
Thank you, sir. I
Because-
appreciate that.
Because it's good to talk, but it's good to listen.
Thank you, sir.
Dialogue should be.
It's only good conversation. He's got knowledge though. He's got knowledge.
I
Still.
do knowledge.
That doesn't mean I agree with what he's.
Okay.
But he's got knowledge.
But we can respect the fact that we're having a very respectful dialogue. right?
You got
And
a lot of knowledge. Of course. Still.
Now,
Man, a lot of people don't know about the.
Yeah, I never heard of this.
Say it again. The
apostolic tradition.
apostolic.
Now, would you be surprised if 2 billion people believe
I
that?
never heard of this.
2 billion Christians believe that. 1.6 of them are Catholic.
Okay, with that other guy, yeah.
300 million are Eastern Orthodox. 60 million Oriental Orthodox. 400.
How many of them are Protestant?
How many Protestants? Around 400 million.
Yeah, it's the second biggest.
When are we doing? I need to see it.
It's the second biggest denominational group.
Okay.
But if we're looking at actual denomination in themselves, are around 10 Protestant denominations, each of them sectioned off. You're actually combining multiple denominations together to form that group.
What denomination? Good question.
Yeah, so right now I'm currently discerning between Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy. And the way that I'm doing that is, I would sway a lot towards Eastern Orthodoxy in my interpretative tradition. Of,
Very similar as well in a lot of ways.
in some ways, and in some ways they're different. Depends on who you ask, right? Now, I want to be very clear about this stuff. This is actually something that we believe for the past 2,000 years. If you were, for example, in Malaysia, if you were in Italy, you would actually believe in the apostolic tradition. You would be aware of it because most of the people in Italy are. The reason why we're not aware of it in the UK is because the Church of England, frankly, has done a terrible job at being Christian. Okay? Whether or not you agree with their moral claims, they've, not funded catechesis, which is instructing and teaching people about the faith. Catholics have done really well on this point. Orthodox have done really well on this point. Oriental Orthodox, who were oppressed by the Muslims for around 1,000 years, okay, since the inception of the religion, in Egypt, were able to survive because they were able to teach their students and their children.
How about the Abyssinians?
The Palestinians,
The Abyssinians, the
Same thing.
Ethiopians.
yeah.
they-
Oh, wait, hold on.
Are they Eastern?
They never got Ethiopia.
Okay.
You get it?
How about
I
Moroccan?
want to hear.
Same
I want
thing.
to touch on it.
What?
They're in the same North African region, same thing. I didn't know.
Look. I've
Yes,
been
sir.
listening to you. Yes.
Interesting.
I am very peaceful guy, my friend. Listen, you are like my son.
Okay.
We are human. We are all brothers in humanity to start with.
So just to continue, so in the Holy Tradition, it teaches us on how to be clean and stuff like this. You got to be clean inside as well as outside and things like this. And so we emphasize those things in the Apostolic Tradition, which is what led to the sanitary movement when the Americans caught on in the 1700s. That's what I'm basically saying.
Okay.
Now, again, the reason why our religion would be true is because it fulfills those historical claims. So stuff like accounting for the figure of Jesus and the resurrection, and Christianity accounts for that. We also account for the worship of these other gods. We account for why these other gods are even worshipped. We account for how they even came into existence in these different polities.
Do you believe that what you believe in makes you a better person?
No, absolutely not.
You don't believe what you believe in makes you a better person?
Oh, no. I believe that, Christ improves me, but I don't believe I'm a better human than you simply by
I
merit
like
of
that
being
you said
Christian.
that. I like that you
Okay.
said that.
I
understand?
I like that.
So here's the thing.
Because a lot of people in the Abrahamic Traditions will say, because I'm in this doctrine, I'm better than you.
No,
Yes.
No, that's what they'll say. Like, the fact that they say,
like the same way I would say here. You know what? I'll even throw a bone to that. I would say the same way someone is better than someone else because the same way someone is better than someone else because they believe the earth is round.
Right.
Is similar in the sense of I believe I'm better than you in the sense of religion.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But I won't say I'm a better human than you.
Self-righteous. Holier than
Yeah, I won't be holy. Yeah.
Around with
No. I came with a mask on my face. I clearly don't want clout, right? So
why are you like? I don't disagree with what you're saying, but like, why are you hiding your face?
So
You're like,
number one, because if I take this mask off, there will be guys hunting me.
Oh,
Why do you think that?
Yeah. So one of our
Yeah, they'll be
I've been
saying
hunting.
Oh, hunting, yeah, that's
Hunting,
true.
yeah.
We got friends on death list.
We have guys on death list. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's the speaker's corner. Like, it's about what you say. It's not just
One more final thing on the slavery. Just one.
And the second thing is
Go on.
the second reason why, the more primary reason why I wear the mask is what I say is more important than who I am.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't matter.
That's fair enough.
So what I say is more important than who I am.
Yeah.
I know it's probably going to be easy if you could see my lips moving and stuff and the expressions on my face, but
You feel
I apologize.
you have to do that.
You know, because you've paid attention to what I've said more because of this.
That's fair.
Oh,
That's fair.
you're
Fair-
paying attention to the month.
But like, why would? I mean, you're saying something. I don't know who you are. Like the mask doesn't make
No,
difference to how I
but it's not about who he is. It's about what he's saying.
Have you ever watched Muhammad Hijab at the
I get more
before?
from his words.
He's a bit, he's
Yeah, that's
show
the
me,
point.
right?
Talking about
This
religion.
is the opposite of the ego side.
Like I agree with what you're saying, but I just don't like the. I don't know. Like I don't.
People could issue a fatwa.
Look,
I don't understand this point. I don't understand.
look, I understand. It's just gonna have to be the way, though. Yeah.
It's your choice.
No, here's the thing. I completely understand why you asked the question. I'm not against you.
Curious as well. Like I don't disagree with what you're saying.
I just don't want people to make me a celebrity. Do you get?
But you are a celebrity.
They'll be like, oh my god! Like some people be like,
Oh
oh.
my gosh, it's Steve.
Yeah, they're not gonna analyze the actual content of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like when Muhammad Hijab makes a point, he says, "We do believe in this." Yes.
Yeah, but you're trying to force
No one's
Yeah,
really listening. They just idolize it.
They're not listening to what Muhammad Hijab is saying. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Muhammad Hijab said it. It's gotta be true."
They're listening to the alpha male personality.
Yeah. They wanna be big.
It backfires.
If I can make just one final point about the slavery thing. In the Bible, as far as I understand it, because I've read it anyway, the Bible says you have a slave, you can beat them, and if they don't die within 2 days, you're not punished. And you keep them for 50. I've read 50 years.
Yeah.
Unless they're Jewish, you let them go after 7 years. Now that's all in the Bible. So that sounds wrong to me.
Now the problem
He
is,
mentioned this already.
I mentioned this already.
No, we didn't mention about the you can actually beat them.
I mentioned
about
that.
the beating.
The beating is okay. I'm saying the beating is calm. I'm not saying the beating is good. The beating is calm because I explained already. Yeah. So what I said is that these laws were meant to basically be training wheels as such, just to make those Jewish people better than the contemporaries around them. It wasn't so that they followed them the whole time. Here's what I will ask you: do you think the Hammurabic Code is better than the Bible?
I don't think it's similar.
Is it better?
Abrahamic.
You see?
I don't know.
So, for example, or like the draconic laws in Greece.
Hammurabi was a Asian
For example,
Near
like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
ruler,
And he literally said hand for hand.
A code from Hammurabi, and it's very similar to the. I found a lot of similarities between the Hammurabi Code and the Mosaic Law.
So here's what I will say, right?
An eye for an eye.
If you look at,
tooth for a tooth.
yeah, but in fact, in the Jewish tradition, they explain what eye for an eye means, right? The point is if you look at the laws and codes of these traditions and religions,
Stoning.
they are abominable. Now, even if you want to say that the Bible and the Old Testament laws are abominable, if you are comparing it to these other groups, it's clearly a step forward. And that was the point that the New Testament makes when it comes step forward towards leading
where
that.
Jesus talks about adultery,
For example,
divorce.
if you look at the stoning laws that were carried out by the Hebrews in the time of Jesus, they wanted to stone a woman for adultery. Very famous story.
Yes.
The pericope is talked about by a church father known as Cassian of Barcelona before the Codex Sinaiticus was ever written. Now, in this story, what you have is these people wanting to stone a woman because it's adultery. Very, very barbaric, someone could say.
Yeah.
How dare we believe?
That was their law.
How dare we believe that they are barbaric? But however, Jesus reverses the law and says, if you haven't done if you haven't
Well,
sinned,
Mary
then you
Magdalene.
can't.
He said to Mary Magdalene,
Yeah.
cast the first stone.
Yeah.
She was a prostitute.
Now,
Right.
that story is taken as impetus for abolishing the stoning laws by the Christians. And Paul, exactly.
Right.
And the word fulfill literally means to bring it to its natural conclusion. The natural conclusion is to usher Christ in so that Christ can give off the precepts, which are no way similar to the Old Testament laws. In fact, if we were to conduct the Christian society in the way that we would do it, we would use the Old Testament laws as a framework in a general sense, but qualify that under how Christ would do
That's
it.
where the conflict comes from, isn't it? Because
But Jesus,
wait, hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Keeping the Sabbath is a law. It's part of the law.
Yeah.
So
Now, here's the thing. Here's a great thing.
if the law of a culture is to govern behavior,
Yep.
and where you get your moral,
It's
and
the government
ethics,
belief states. Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
and let's say the tradition is to keep the Sabbath,
Yeah.
and then Jesus comes along and says, well, no, but that stoning thing, I want to reform that, but you can still keep this. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, that's not what he did. So
we eternally.
we believe that right now, right, we eternally,
Do you believe in the Sabbath? Do you practice the Sabbath?
in the way that it was meant to be done. The
Which
point
is-
about Christianity is that these precepts in the Old Testament aren't complete by themselves. They are complete when you add the Christian picture in it. For example,
So
there
you
is a
change the Sabbath day from the Saturday to a...
No. I'm going to explain. The church father, not church father, an individual called Novation explains in a book called On the Jewish Meats. He explains that every single food that is considered unclean is actually a symbol for a vice, a moral thing. For example, eating pigs is actually similar to the sin of gluttony. And so these different animals represent these different, these Levitical animals are actually representing these different sins. That's what they were meant to do. The Sabbath day is supposed to be the day of rest. It is supposed to signify rest.
Saturday.
Right. However, the Jews would commemorate that idea of rest on a Saturday. We commemorate that on every day. We believe that the Sabbath is a rest eternally from the point of Christ onwards. So right now, I am resting in the repose of Christ.
Because
That is how we keep the Sabbath.
can you see where can you see where it's fair for Old Testament believers and New Testament believers to have a
just
rival-
divert,
have a rival-
yeah.
have
Oh,
rivalry?
no. And trust me.
Because I can say, well, you know what, I'm passionate.
Yeah,
about
completely
this,
fine. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
The
fine.
Jew can come up to you and be like, why you changing?
Yeah, why you
Yeah.
changing?
Yeah.
And that's where we
I see what
go.
you're saying.
I'm sticking to the Torah.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I don't eat.
No, hold on.
They could
Yeah,
they could say that.
say that because they're not accepting of the Messiah as the Messiah.
Yeah, but if you're Israelite and you've got a long tradition before Jesus comes, and you don't eat pork, and then Jesus says, well, you know what, I've abolished
I
everything.
remember Jesus said,
He
I'm
didn't-
not
no.
going to change the law, but to fulfill
He
it.
never says abolish. He never says I'm abolishing
Not
it. I'm
abolish,
saying
reforms.
its natural end is here. From that point on, this is what I'm saying. I'll give an example. The law is like a supply teacher.
Yes.
Christ is your main teacher.
Hold on. How can the supply teacher be before the main teacher?
That's
The
what
main teacher was already there.
but-
So you're stupid. You're
because
saying
Christ existed before the law.
I mean, that's
because the whole Christ being God thing, right?
That would be your belief then.
Yeah, no.
That would be
No. But you can see the consistency there, though.
See,
The law was kept as a schoolmaster until Christ's advent. But if
Okay,
you're
so did Jesus give Moses the law?
yes, as the schoolmaster.
Okay, so then that, I see where it's going.
Okay, so what
then
shit
Jesus
is
trying to change it again.
I'm trying to say to you.
No.
So
Look,
you,
right
that's
here,
a,
right?
that's a beautiful,
Even-
that's a
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
statement.
Even-
I'm gonna put it back.
That's fine. That's fine. Even in the Old Testament, it
let's go.
says that there is going to come a time
Right.
where I will make a new covenant with these people.
Where's that in?
Jeremiah, the
Jeremiah.
Old Testament,
Okay,
hundreds of
yeah,
years
yeah.
before Christ.
Yeah.
But listen where it says, not like the covenant I made with their fathers.
Okay.
Not like the Old Testament laws.
So Abraham.
See,
even according
No,
to
They went. So you're saying they went through great lengths.
Yeah.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Went up the Sinai.
Right.
got the law from the Almighty.
And
Do you- hold on.
Came down.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Later on down the line.
no. That's not even how those laws worked.
All right.
How many laws are in the Old Testament? In the law, in the Torah?
613.
Good. Did they all come at the same time?
6, 1, 3,
Yeah.
6, and 10.
Did they all come at the same time?
Well, it's a procession, isn't it? It's a
How does that
Compilation,
process?
so it didn't.
Now, here's the question.
The Old Testament is the
No. The law is strictly in the Torah. It's not in the prophets. The prophets is an account of how we kept it.
Right.
Now,
But
in the Torah,
Moses received the law.
but he didn't receive all of it at the same time.
No, but he
Good.
still received the law.
Now, can I explain how that? So how that? No, Moses completely. But we're asking.
But,
This,
they
but
had-
you
but,
said-
but
Yeah.
what he's I know where he's going, because they had you had what you call the Leviticus priesthood.
Okay.
And all them, and so they, as a group, started to compile the law.
no, that's not what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
That's not what I'm gonna say at all.
But I know that's what happened.
My
Listen.
point is, what is the reason for the law being revealed in the first place
Two more.
to Moses? Right? It was added for their transgressions, and I'll explain how we know this.
Okay.
In Exodus, we get 10. The 10 commandments or precepts that we have.
Don't worship other.
Then we have other rules as to how we're supposed to treat people in Exodus 21.
Yes.
That should be it. The Israelites end up sinning again. So God reveals a new set of laws, and so on, and so on, and so on. You sin, new laws. You sin, new laws. In fact, at the end of the book of Exodus, Moses isn't even able to go into the tabernacle because the people are impure. So we now need another set of laws to teach the Israelites how to be ritually, juridically, morally, and sanitarily pure. They then are able to go in the book of Numbers. Then they need another set of laws because they sinned again, and so on and so on. So what we explain, and this is what the Jews explained, as well as the Christians, that the law was not added as a perfect revelation in the sense of this is the eternal law's outlook.
Yeah.
It was added because every single time we're trying to give them morality, they keep sinning. So we keep adding on laws for transgression. So the law is literally a supply teacher that keeps giving new tasks until the main teacher can come and finalize the actual purpose of these commandments, which are these precepts.
Yeah. So when the Christ came, he didn't abolish.
That's why the reason for the law being revealed is so important. The law was added for transgressions. What are you saying, brother? The law is added for transgressions. It's not added so that this is the code of conduct you should follow.
Yeah.
It is added to show how bad you are, not to teach you how you can be good.
Yeah.
You are taught how to be good by Christ. You are shown how bad you are by the law. That is the relationship.
There's a lot of shifting.
Would it be fair for me to say that because of today? Okay. Go.
There's a lot of shifting things. Because if the tradition was they had a law, and then let's say one of the laws was like they didn't eat they didn't pork,
Don't eat
and they had
pork,
they had
That's the common one.
They had what you call kosher.
Yeah.
So then now you're saying that when Jesus came, because he came to he didn't abolish, we said he reformed,
Fulfill.
He fulfilled. So now the Christians can eat pork.
So the okay.
Because it doesn't
Fulfill.
matter. It doesn't matter what comes. What do you say? It doesn't come out of the mouth or what comes from.
It's not what comes from in the mouth, it's out.
So now they could eat pork.
Okay, yeah, okay. This is
What
the.
you're telling me?
Okay, that's not what I'm telling you exactly.
No, but I'm saying
What
is
I'm-
that fair?
No. Can I? Okay. What I'm telling you is every single law has a purpose.
Right.
Okay. So the law in itself is not like it's not like the laws or statutes that we have today, which are just like in themselves.
Yeah.
These laws were theologically built to fulfill something down the road. Okay? These commandments, like not what foods to eat, what things to drink, how to treat slaves, and so on. These have to be fulfilled.
So it's expired now. It's done. We don't need to add that.
You spoke about commandments. Commandments are laws.
Yeah.
What was the commandments that Jesus?
That's what I want to
asked.
ask. So what you're so you say so? Okay, go ahead. So I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So the natural conclusion of these commandments and laws were explained by Christ in the Holy Tradition. For example, to worship on God.
Yeah.
For example, to keep yourself clean. For example, to not murder. For example, to not commit adultery.
Right.
All of these things
Apply
are
to
still
today, right?
apply
This
to
is
today,
right
but not in the same sense as they were before.
Same sense. If I kill you, I kill you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
If it-
However, there wasn't a commandment in the Old Testament against you being angry at someone.
Okay,
Well, that
that's
justify
another-
cause.
That's just another.
It's not another law. It's actually Jesus exactly says, the law says explicitly, do not murder. But I tell you that even if you look at someone to cause danger onto them, you have murdered.
So say,
Oh, okay.
The idea is that the laws,
Then you've done it in your heart.
the point is that these laws are pointing towards a fulfillment.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So watch this.
Adultery as well. You have to, in the Old Testament, in order to commit adultery, you would have to actually physically have sex with someone. However, there were loopholes. For example, maybe you could get heads or stuff like that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Concubine.
Or concubine, or even just like looking at someone like, rah, she's lengthy,
Right,
and you're married, you know, like, I'll actually bust them in them cheeks. You know? That's what they say. However, Christ says, if you so much as look at someone,
Right, you've done it.
right. The point, and that's applying not just to married people, but single people as well.
Right.
So even single people can commit adultery. The idea is that these commandments, not just the standard holiness, but these commandments are misunderstood because they're not understood in the correct context, which is they are supposed to be laws that have natural conclusions. The law says thou shalt not kill. Its natural conclusion is to have not malice. The law says don't do this.
That's how you take that. Hold on. I know you're not gonna like that.
I'm really trying to get to the person of Christ here. The point is the disagreements you are having are not with the Christian interpretation. They're with the figure of Jesus. If you disbelieve in Christ, like a Jew, for example, you're not going to accept these interpretations, of course. But if you accept the figure of Jesus, you are going to accept these conclusions. The reason why I, as a black Christian, can argue against slavery and be an abolitionist is because Christ promotes abolitionism. If I'm a Jew, I'd have a much harder argument. Right?
So SIIIG.
Yeah, go on.
There's two tables.
Yeah.
There's a table with the people following the Old Testament, the
Yeah.
and all that. They do, and there's another table where they're following the New Testament. The New Testament where Christ has come after.
Yeah.
So one table sticks with the kosher and it's not eating the pork, and there's another table where they're doing the New Testament after Christ has come and they're eating pork.
Yeah.
Who is in God's eyes, right and wrong?
Yep.
He wouldn't be able to answer you.
The person,
I don't think he'd be able to answer.
being honest, no.
But I want to know. Let him attempt.
The person that is right is the person that has the fullness of the revelation. Here's what's important in the Old Testament. By the way, to answer it simply, the people with the Jesus table. Now, can I finish? Can I finish?
It's the people that were taking
Can I finish?
the table of feeding the
Can I finish?
No, they're eating the pork. So
Can I finish?
The pork that the Old Testament was
No, I would like to answer this.
That's socialism.
Here's what I want to say.
What Jesus.
Can I finish? He's not
Let him
socialist.
answer. Let him
Can I
answer.
finish?
Yeah, go ahead. But you said the Christians are eating
Yeah,
pork.
and I will explain why.
Why?
Because in the Old Testament itself, says, I'm not complete. The Old Testament makes the claim, I have not finished. The Old Testament claim says, I need things different. The Old Testament
The Lord is
says,
speaking at this point. That's the Lord. Yeah.
as in the Old Testament,
But
like
Jews
I
would say
showed
that's
you.
not Jesus though.
No. The Jews will say that Jesus isn't that fulfillment. Now, whether they're right or wrong will be a historical analysis on Jesus, which is a different point, right? And the historical analysis says that he did rise from the dead and so on, and so we have reason to believe him. That's the point that we're making. Now, the people on the Old Testament that you want to say, well, I'm going to go by the book, I'm going to go by the Bible, I'm going to go by this and that. With the Old Testament, the same Old Testament tells you, I'm not finished. I'm not complete. And if you're not complete, like a prototype, you're using it wrong. You need to have the completed product. Now, we are arguing.
But that's what helps them make their decisions between what is permissible for them to eat from what is not permissible.
But it doesn't tell them that this is what they're actually following in truth, because what they're following is an incomplete book. Imagine if we're all reading Harry Potter and we get to the Chamber of Secrets, which is book 2, and it just stops there.
Can I ask you a question though?
So what?
We don't get Voldemort dying. We don't get Harry Potter actually winning the thing at the end.
It just stops there.
It's incomplete. And imagine J.K. Rowling gives you a note at the end saying, by the way, guys, this story is incomplete. Everything that you're understanding here is incomplete.
So how can what makes them able now after Christ to be able to eat the pork like the Old Testament forbids them not to eat?
The explanations that the new law understands, which is the fulfillment of these precepts. It's saying these food laws are actually saying don't do these moral things. That's what it means.
So can we eat today?
So now you can eat the pork?
Yes, you can eat the pork. Because the importance of the pork is not the animal, but what the animal represents, which is gluttony.
Yeah, just eat anything. Everything.
It's like
I don't know about that.
Hindu tradition, they don't eat a cow, but if someone comes along and says,
Ramen,
now you can eat the cow.
Yeah, it says this in Romans.
I agree what you're saying.
No, okay.
I don't know.
The point that you're making is now just because the Christians are able to say that you don't need to eat pork or something, then oh man, that's crazy.
We need to see the context as well. When Jesus Christ was talking,
that time he was talking to scribes and Pharisees.
Yes.
Because they
Really understand.
believe that, even by speaking the word of swine,
Yeah.
you become holy.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah.
Unholy.
The point that
But
I'm
Jesus
saying.
Christ, what he was saying, that whatever comes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Now the point about the point about the food laws, as Christ explained, is that every single commandment has a fulfillment. These cleanliness laws, these slave laws, even the food laws.
I don't eat pork. Does it make difference?
I like this already.
Yeah, that's like you said.
I just want to put my 2 pence in.
All right.
Let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
So he said that.
We spoke about.
It's all right, man.
We spoke about the Old Testament.
Flip's sake, bro.
We spoke about the Old Testament not being completed.
No one was
It was written in.
When I left, you was already explaining this.
Yeah, bro. Guys, don't get.
Yeah, let's listen to the lady, man.
All right.
Sorry.
So in the Old Testament, it said it's not completed.
Yeah.
We know that when Jesus came came to complete that, to fulfill it, right? We know that the prophets before Jesus come in was already prophesying that.
Right.
Isaiah said, and unto these people I will write this law in their heart. Right? Jesus turned around and said, and I leave with you 2 commandments. The 2 commandments that he left, if you understand that in the spirit and allow for it to manifest, all those reminders of the Mosaic laws, you're not tempted to do. Because if you love your neighbor like you love yourself, you're not going to go and rob from them. You're not going to go and steal from them. You're not going to go and look on his wife and try and convert and have an adulterous relationship. Right. If you see somebody that is hungry and you know that you have, out of love, you're going to give. If you know all of these things, but what people don't, what we move so far, we get into this intellectual kind of like debunking and pulling scriptures and everything.
Yeah.
But that needs to happen.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll continue this point.
That is okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we want to.
Some things are so simple.
Okay. And I appreciate that.
I agree with that.
Here's what we're trying to say.
But some things.
Here's what we're trying to say with the pork. Here's what we're trying to say with the pork stuff.
Yeah.
Have you read what the Jews have actually said on their own scriptures when it comes to the eating of the foods and stuff? Even they have moral interpretations for the foods and stuff. Where they misunderstand is they say, now, not only do we need to keep these moral commandments, we also need to do these food things. They think that it's a literal interpretation. But if the text itself is telling you, no, brother, this is not complete yet. We're going to wait for someone to complete it to tell you how to interpret it. Yeah. It's literally telling you, listen, we need to wait for this to be interpreted, and then now you can be able to follow it correctly. Now, those Jews in the Old Testament that followed those Jewish laws like that, they're not going to go to hell. Because we believe that when Christ died, he went to Sheol, which is the land of the dead, and rose those people to heaven.
This is what you believe.
This is what the Christians believe, yes.
At the end of the day, yeah.
If
you're eccentric,
First,
This is his belief.
First Peter chapter 3, verse 21, which is talking about baptism from verses 18, okay? And from verses 15, it says that Christ goes into the prison to declare the gospel to the souls in the prison.
Right.
This is called the harrowing of hell, meaning he's bringing those people out. So continue, okay? The Jews, if they believe that Jesus is not the Messiah, they're going to follow the text incorrectly because they're still waiting for, even absent from Christ, they're still waiting for the text to be completed.
The messianic age.
So they can never actually complete the text, and so they can never logically follow the text truly. At least for us, we can logically follow the text because we have the completement, the fulfillment of the text. Now, there's a verse in the Bible, Romans chapter 14, and in Romans 14 it says that all things are permissible, but not everything is beneficiary. So it is permissible for you to eat pork, but it's not beneficiary for you to eat pork when you're around people that don't eat pork. But we still have food restrictions in Christianity as well. We cannot eat any food that's offered to an idol. We still have food restrictions. We have to abstain from all foods offered to idols in Acts chapter 15. So we have foods that are stained by blood, for example. We can't eat that. Blood meats, you can't eat that as well. So these foods, you can't eat that. That's why I get my steak well done. Now, see what I'm trying to say? Now,
they mock us for that. They say it's too chewy.
No, let me. No, the point that I'm saying, is now, amidst all of the dance and the interpretations and everything, because I've answered every question. We're now on Jesus. Whether you accept this figure or reject him.
Like you're on Jesus.
At least for a Jew, they can be consistent because they reject Jesus. But if you accept Jesus and you follow the law the way the Jews do, you have a problem. Because Christ and the Holy Tradition tells you not to do the way that way. Okay?
My stance is secularism, paganism, and philosophy.
That's fine.
But I like the fact that you you believe in something and you are strong in which you believe in.
So, and the thing is, I don't think that if you die, you go to. Ultimately, I don't know your salvific state.
No one knows. You don't know.
Now, what we will say is there are people that
we don't need to, because we have opposing beliefs. It doesn't mean we have to go to
Yeah.
war.
Yeah.
No.
To turn into a big dying. I know, but those people are fanatical.
Yeah. What we will say is this. Yeah. What we will say is this.
God causes them to spill blood.
What we will say is this. Okay. What we'll say is that we know that there are people that are definitely in hell. Judas is one of them. He's in hell. The reason why is because we call him the son of perdition. Now, the word perdition in Greek is actually the son of hellfire. So, hellfire.
Yeah.
Now, the whole point is so that we can be absolutely sure that hell is not empty.
Okay.
You understand? People like Arius. That guy's in hell, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That guy died taking a shit. That nigga's in hell. I'm not gonna lie. He died on the toilet taking a shit. He's going to hell. Hitler's definitely in hell. Now, the reason why he's in hell is because he burnt churches. Okay?
Y'all going to hell?
So, see, listen. All y'all going to hell. You, hell. You, hell. You right there, hell. You, hell. Yeah, I said it.
When you say church, the building or the people?
People in the building as well.
Oh,
Like, burning a church building is sacrilege anyways. It's sacrilege. To burn a worship place for the Most High God is sacrilege. Burning a Bible, sacrilege.
Oh, yeah.
Removing parts of the Bible, sacrilege. Things like this. Now, the point that we're saying, okay, the point that we're saying is whether a person is in hell or not is not just a soul judgment, even though God does come to judge.
Yeah.
The word krino means to make the correct decision,
Yeah.
which is judgment. This is where we get the word judgment from. And the correct decision will be made, number one, based on the content of your belief and the content of your heart. Now, if God,
Your faith in.
yeah, as well as how you act that out. If, for reasons unknown to us, you weren't able to believe in the gospel because you're on Sentinel Island and no one was able to preach the gospel to you,
One of those.
that doesn't mean that you can't. That doesn't mean that you're going to go to hell.
They just don't, they won't.
it's possible.
You were Vatican II on this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the point that we're basically making. All of these things and these interpretative systems I've given because this is what Christ has given.
Right.
Now, the thing that you're going to have to debunk me or falsify me on is on whether Christ actually did those things, in the sense of whether he was true.
Yeah.
Like, we know he existed, but did he actually die and resurrect?
Oh, they believe he existed.
We know his house.
No one knows
outside
it.
text. You support
As in,
outside
Jesus
text.
mythicists are not a popular belief anymore. Like, it's not a popular belief.
No, but we don't.
Scholars are.
I don't know it exists for a fact.
So, as,
You know it exists for a
as a
fact.
historical fact, yes. Like the same way that we know that Hitler existed because we have documents about Hitler, we know that Christ
We've
existed.
got pictures though.
Okay, what about George Washington?
George Washington.
Only have writings.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first president of the United States, did he exist?
I would tell you, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
believe you, though.
And in that
You
way,
get that? I believe in this.
But the reason why we know is because we have those documents that still exist. We have those archaeological finds. Same thing for Jesus. We have his house, for example. Like the house he used to chill with his mud. We have his yard. We also have where he went into Egypt. We also have where he traveled back to Jerusalem. We have where he died, the crucifixion site.
we have
these different.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is
We have
you know this person exists.
As a historical fact, yes.
Okay, what about in the matter?
Huh?
In the matter, in
Like empirical, like science.
Yeah, empirical, yeah.
No. But the point is, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but that's not how we measure history, bruv. So, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that's not how we measure history. Yeah, I understand that. I understand.
So we don't like the same way.
like an
Like
inductive
for example, empirically, we don't know that Hitler existed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what
But
I'm talking
historically, we know that Hitler existed.
about. Okay, yeah.
Historically, we
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
sorry.
So
Yeah,
historically, we
okay,
know
yeah, I
that.
see what you're
See what I
saying.
mean?
Yeah.
Now, historically, did he resurrect? That's a different question now.
Yeah, we don't know that. We don't.
I think
I'm gonna say that we know, but it's gonna be due to an argument that I can present to you.
Okay.
Do you understand? So we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much
Yeah, no, it's
for the
been a good
conversation.
one.
God bless you.
What's your name, by the way?
My name is SIIIG. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch, TikTok. Yeah, that's it.
SIIIG, like cigarettes.
So S, 3 I's, 1 G.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you so
should have
much.
given him that minimal facts argument.
Yeah, no. But we've gotten far enough. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna wrap up here, guys. We were able to talk about atheism for a long time. God bless you all and take great care. I did make some errors in terms of the certain facts that I used. However, I think the majority of the things that I said was true. One of the things I said that was wrong was about not the sanitary movement.
Talking about Acts 15.
No, not Acts 16. There was something that I said pertaining to Mesopotamia, that was it, and the Abraham tradition. That can be fact-checked, but I think the Mesopotamian tradition does feed into the Abraham cycle, which is fine. So yeah, hopefully that should be okay. Everything else I said was fine, but I just want to be honest to my audience so that you guys can go fact-check me. Guys, make sure you read the facts and the sources, and you may be able to come to some truth. God bless you.
Without further ado,
Shut up.
have a bit.
Shut up. Go. Stop.